here. Hey everybody, this is DayTraderRockStar with a special webinar video tonight. Already doing a live show here at Day Trading Radio, and so I'm just starting the video up because they're coming to an important time frame, 8:30, and I wanted to start off here trying to bring you as much as I can in things that can help you trade, and especially the overnights portion of trading. Trading doesn't end during the day. I mean, you could, if you wanted to, trade overnight the futures and other trading vehicles and Forex and stuff, Bitcoin. So there's markets that are open overnight. So the futures, we follow those a lot, and you could trade those overnight. There's no reason why you can't, but there's better times than others to trade those. And even though this is not the topic of the webinar tonight, it brings me to a good level here that we want to pay attention to and kind of use this as an example. So right now the S&P here is pushing down. It is about 5 minutes before 8:30 when the official show starts. So I want to switch over here. I want to show you what we were looking at before. This is one I did a video on this. I'll post a link in the comments. And also remember, I'm trying to get more comments on the video. So if you ever get a video from me, please comment on it, and like it and do all the other stuff. Unless it's really bad, and just tell me. But I think all the information we get here helps us make money, and that's a good thing. So let's just jump over here. This is the calendar I was showing you, and this is a calendar I use when I am trading overnight, or when I'm doing a show like this and I need to watch the overnight market. It's not that I trade overnight too much. I don't. I have a I'm not going to say I have a life, but I do have a busy family. I have kids and stuff, so and then I'm exhausted, and then I just like to chill. So I'm not that type of person, but we have a lot of members who like to trade overnight, and they get up very early in the morning and they trade. And to know this website helps you a lot. So we're just talking about right here at 8:30. This is Eastern Standard Time. The flash manufacturing PMI is coming out of Japan. This is when the Asian markets are opening up, 8 to 9 o'clock. That's when you see the flow of news coming in. So that translates here to the East Coast, and whatever time frame you might be at, you just have to do the calculation. But on the Eastern Standard Time, that brings us to 8:30. So I think it's probably 8:30 over there, right? It's probably 12 hours difference. So I would say it's 8:30 there, 8:30 here. Again, what I was discussing before, markets open up at a certain time around the world, just like we open up in the morning, and we have an influx of news, home builders, all the economic indicators coming out, not even going into just so many of them. And they tend to come out in within the first hour of the market, give or take an hour. So now we have the flash manufacturing PMI, and we know that there is a potential trigger here to cause some volume to come into the market. So we do like to look at these levels. And this, if you're going to make a move, other than being, just grinding down here, which you could have taken a short into the highs here, and I think, that's fine. That's fine. We'll talk about the one setup in a bit. I'm curious to see how this reacts here. We have 2 minutes to go, and we're going to just watch it live right now. All right, let me switch over to it, actually. I got to remember to switch over the video. All right, so, and I left my laptop at home, which has my futures on it, but I don't. Well, I do have a futures count on my IB too, so I could do the IB if I wanted to take a shot on that. But I'm going to watch it. We're going to watch things. We're going to explain things tonight. We'll let the bot. We'll talk about the bot a little, how it helps us finding these levels. But the object here for tonight's video is basically trading one time a day. What is that perfect trade? How do we find it? How do we execute it? Because throughout the day, I will come out and say, this is the best trade of the day by far, because of the situation, because of the 5-minute divergence, because of the multiple indicators, because of everything that was involved. We know that probably was the bottom of the day, and we tend to see the biggest moves from that. So we're searching for that. We're big game hunters looking for the big game. and typically every day has one. A big pivot area going from, even if it's in the morning fast, move up and then a move down. The big area here, we want to find that and identify that. And we could do that. We have the tools to do that. So this is an area that I like right here. I mean, this is something if we were, jonesing, trading, you might take a position here in front of this news. And we're starting to already see a little pop here. And I'm just saying the position. It could be either way. I don't know. I mean, that's the reason, that you want to trade it or you just want to gamble with it. That's a big difference there. But if you want to get action out of the market or movement out of the market and watch volume come into the market, these are the levels that you have to watch. Now you can see volume starting to pick up here just a tiny bit, not much. Candles popping a little. It's 8:30. I don't know if we'll get a feed on that and what the news is. I definitely don't think any news. Well, you know what? The Forex Live probably has it. And I was thinking of getting that on my show. Let me see if I can get the Japanese number out here. I don't see it crossed into my news wire yet. Well, keep an eye out for it. It's not a big number. It's not a high-weighted market-moving event, which sometimes you could look at the that calendar, and if that calendar is like, let me see if I can find it again. I think I killed. If we look at that calendar again, and we see it's in the yellow, anything in the red is weighted heavier. It's a bigger market mover, bigger impact on the market. So again, 3 o'clock, not to jump back and forth here, but Asian markets, you look for news around that 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock time frame, in between it, 8:30, 9 o'clock. And then the European market starts to open up at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock, 3:30, we start to see good news flow from there. Then we have U.S. markets. And also the look at this ECB press conference tomorrow, monetary policy statement tomorrow coming out of Europe. I did not realize that. That's October 24th. We got the monetary policy coming out of Europe, and the ECB press conference with Draghi going to be tomorrow at 8:30. It's interesting just to see that. That tells me something, to watch for something early in the morning. So for those traders who want to trade around the clock, this would be probably something I'd be very interested in. Trading, maybe getting up at 3 o'clock. Because look at the different numbers we're coming in. We have German flash manufacturing PMI, flash service PMI. These are big numbers. They're all in red. And then we have European monetary policy. That's huge. ECB press conference. That's right at our open, 7:45 to 8:30. So our pre-market's going to be choppy based off of their news. And then we have our open. And that's when our news comes into play. New home sales, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 8:30. Well, we have unemployment claims, durable goods. But we're also getting that ECB press conference tomorrow. So great calendar here. I've talked about it on other videos. Let's go back to our high probability setup zone. And this is part of the overall video, is understanding when the market moves. What's going to cause the market to move. This is such an intense process to keep all your ducks in line, because you want to know what the news is. You want to know the time frame. You want to have how you're gonna trade it. What are your trading opportunities into this time zone? Is there anything else leading up to it? Is there divergence? Is there anything else that the tradeometer runs overnight? Is there a tradeometer set up? But right now we can see a little pop. I don't know if this is coincidence or did we get some news out there. I'm not sure. I didn't see any really news. The news is out. I want to do that Rand squawk too, Viljar. I'm going to have that on there. Did you hear it, the Japanese PMI? Did you hear that by chance? Here we go. I got the PMI right here in front of me. So I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but I have the whole report right here. Just got sent to me. Just like that. That's how fast it came. And Japanese economy slips in contraction in October. Into contraction Output index 49.8. Final was 51. September final was 51.5. So now 53. Flash manufacturing PMI 58.50. 58.90. So just reading up on that. Let's get back on the other thing. Market here just kind of pops. It's not being affected at all by this number. Not at all. Let me get that over here. Let me get my mouse found again. Yeah, that's a fancy report, but that just got that's what was officially released. I get it. I just hacked into the Bank of Japan. Got it off their service. If RPM was there, I would never have gotten it. But good thing I have them on my side. So tonight's video topic now, as we officially started the show, is and will be trading one setup per day. And what I mean by that, it's not just like trading just one. We're only going to look for divergence. That's the setup. But trading one trade a day. One trade a day. And being able to recognize that at the time. I think the more, I've been seeing a lot of newer traders out there, beginner traders that are learning trading. And just from, not putting anybody in the spotlight, I won't name any names. A lot of these people are off the YouTube channel and stuff. But a lot of people are just so anxious to get into something, They just want to get in. And you got to really walk them through it, because it's like I got to start now considering saying everything is high risk, because, they're not used to my type of trading. When someone comes in and they're like thinking that you get into it, you get into it, that's the best bet. But that's not always the best bet. You kind of rank things, you adjust your position size based on this, what type of risk you're taking. Not all stocks are equal, even though I try to stress just taking high probability setups. But that's like, that is kind of very hard thing to do when you're in front of the market all day. But the truth is that will eliminate most of your errors. It will force you to only stay within it, and it's going to take a severe amount of discipline. It's something probably most people were not going to be able to do. We're inside of a candy store, we're inside of a casino here, and you just have to push the button. You're in a stock, you have a potential to make some money. So how do I, tell you not to be in that? What's the better position? Well, you know what? There's always going to be, bounces, and you could get lucky here, and you could just have a style that works well, and you're just trading. You're being, I'm not saying that doesn't work. What I'm saying is we're going to show you the best setup every day. One setup a day. If we could get that setup, we have a bigger chance of getting a bigger move. It's a higher probability setup, and just that's what we want to concentrate on as a newer trader. You don't want to be overwhelmed, pushing that button, building up those commissions. Let's start from the basic foundation. What's the best? What's the most stable foundation that we want to have? We build our trades on that. So it's going to be based off of, and I didn't make any, I do have a lot of educational slideshows and stuff, and I probably will go over a few of those today. But basically, what I want to do is walk you through a day in the market and how we break it down, how I could define what I'm looking for beforehand. Very easy to measure out a divergence or measure out a high probability setup, because it's defined so exactly. So now once we have that and we actually see a trigger, we have the proof right there. The market either moves at a greater distance than the previous trend. And when I say that, I want to make sure people understand that, a trend could be happening. This downward trend, you have to be able to identify it, which is all part of, the process of learning how to trade, how to identify a tight channel, how do you use your candlesticks, where do you put your trend lines. This all comes. It all comes like, you can get extensions. You can get a blow off through an area. Watch for the volume. See what, maybe that was a flash news or buy program. You have to be able to figure those things out. You got to understand where the mean is, the medium, the average line should be. Sometimes you get a little spike higher, but then if you realize this makes sense, and then you start to see the price start to react to it. Then it starts to confirm, and then you can really start to act off of it. So, I want to try to identify these levels, and when you see that criteria being met, it could easily be a situation where you say, this criteria is met, where did the market go from this point? And typically you're going to see that the market has moved up in the direction of the divergence or the high probability setup if we're using something like this. This right here, everything that we sometimes look at has been defined in the high probability methodology. This right here is something that we're trading right now on the daily chart, and we've traded it on the 1 minute chart today too. Actually, I took a trade off of this today, right here. So I took a trade. Look at this pattern right here. This is something that would be considered one of the trades of the day. Like, what we're trying to explain is find that number one trade of the day. You've got to only trade once. It has to be the trade with the most indicators lining up and the high probability ranking. And we could put a weight on each of these setups. What's the highest weighted setup? And that's what you're trying to capture. And lots of times it doesn't happen until later in the day, especially if the market's trending down or trending higher. That trend will stay in effect, and you probably should stay there. But once you start to see the criteria set up, and you could actually say, this is going to be one of the best setups of the day. We got in here. You can see where it went. You can see where this went. I got options on this, and you could approach this different ways. You could approach this different ways. You could approach it with the MES. You could approach it with the S&P futures, the ES mini, the MES, the SPY options, the leveraged SPY options. And the ETFs, anything that tracks an S&P index. And lots of times this type of setup will mirror itself on the NASDAQ or the YM. Most of the time it does. I think Tight Stops mentioned there was a YM divergence right at the same time. I think it was at 3 o'clock, but it was right around this level. And I bet I could probably see that. But this was a great setup. This was a running divergence. It was a lower trend line. It was a 200 EMA breakdown channel line bounce. Meaning you break down through the 200, you come back up to the you come up back up to the 200. Perfect. Back down to the channel line, back to the 200, back down to the channel line. Divergence, lower trend line, recognizable pattern, HPS setup, all in. Boom. Boom. That brings us back. I'm back here with the video. I almost got carried away because I was just showing the rockbot here. The rockbot is an indicator that identifies trade setups and takes the trades. It's automated. Takes trades. Trades the ES, but I can have it trade the MES and Q, anything. But the important part is, it's been being developed for over a year now, and it's in a point where now we have it live every day on the site, on a certain section of the site. But I've wanted to put that 5 minute in here, and it takes a little coding help. I get some coding help from my friend to eventually have these two overlap. So I put them both up here. When we have that 5 minute divergence and we have a 1 minute divergence, that's what we call a super signal. And these are the setups that we're going to be concentrated on today. So as you can see, there was a 5 minute divergence. So let's see where that 5 minute divergence was. It was right here, right at the lows. Basically right at the low right there. 2015, 18, 815-ish. So right around here it was. So we had a 5 minute divergence right there. And you can actually see a low and a low here, kind of a double bottom, a higher low in the stochastics. Everything told us to be here. And then we saw this setup here and we said, yes, this is a good level. You need to be in here. Now what happened is it pushed up here to previous close and spiked back down. But as you can, you can't see because I'm not showing you that chart here. Going back over here. Here's your low. Here's your double bottom. Here's your bounce. Here's the area that we were talking about watching for a move up. And it moved up and then quickly returned. And this really did put in, I think, a better divergence on overall. A fast little drop brought us back down to that low Didn't take out the lows. It just brought us down to the lows. It's almost like a triple bottom back up over the top trend line here. So that 5 minute is still active right now. Still active. The 1 minute is active. So that is a situation where we kind of see a live. It's kind of a live example tonight. I didn't expect to show you in a live example because usually the overnight markets are kind of flat on the 5 minute, but we did have a little fast little chop there that we did get a 5 minute setup. But again, the overnight session is lighter volume, except do you see the volume that came in here? Let me bring back over to this screen. But if you could see the volume that came in here right at 8 o'clock into 9 o'clock, you know that somewhere around the world something opened up that brought a little action into the market. And that's why we look for bigger moves out of this zone. This was a nice setup. It got a 5 minute and it got a 1 minute, and it moved up and pulled back and continues to kind of trying to push higher. And the whole concept of the HPS is once we identify that zone, we're going to get a bigger move than the previous move or any of the previous bounces, especially if it's a tight trend line. So you get a little move here, a little move here. This move off of this higher probability setup should give us a bigger move up. Now this was a fast little flush. Algorithms are still running overnight. They're like what are they, sentinels? They will track you down for some reason. I totally believe it. You know, the powers that be with the amount of information and technology out there, there is no doubt if you have a standing order down here, and it's very easy to read what's on the book, and you have level 2s and stuff. But there is ways of knowing where to grab stock and how these things work, and it's just amazing that you can move up and then flush right back, grab something, and back up, right back up to that level. Just so we kind of captured that in this bot, in this our trading bot. We kind of captured a lot of signals that these algorithms will pick up on. So we're able to kind of either ride the coattails or front run these or be in at the same time, which is important. And then you get that buying coming in. It's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. So we'll continue to watch this setup throughout the evening, but I don't really recommend too much trading overnight except after 3 o'clock. I think 3 o'clock is your best time frame. This is a good time frame right now, but I would not, after this opens up, it kind of drifts and dies out. So at that point, all bets are off. But between that, looking at that Forex Factory calendar and seeing maybe a potential volume lift here into this time zone and maybe potential news that moves it, yeah, maybe you want to be interested in it. But that would be only for an hour or two, and then you're going back on the couch. 3 o'clock is a good time to get up. But I'm going to record this because I was listening to Paul today, and he was very emotional talking about what he's been going through last year and stuff, and how important it was to have the Day Trading Radio family behind him and stuff. And I tell you, I kind of feel the same way. I kind of feel like, man, I can't wait to get here. I feel like, Fridays are, oh my God, even though it's Fridays, it's going into 2 weeks and you have family fun, but boy, this opens up a big opportunity in the world to be able to figure out this puzzle. We figure it out. We do figure this thing out. We know how to figure it out, but we push ourselves sometimes too far that we want to gain more than the market's willing to give us, and we get greedy, and then we lose what we had, or we get scared and we don't accept or don't trust in the system. And those two things will always be haunting us. But boy, I just know that, being part of this, you will have your day. You will have your deep throat type of, where did I throw that? People out there don't know who that is. They're like, what the hell did you just say? But, you got to sometimes step up to the plate and take that shot. I know Tesla. I was looking at Tesla today. Tesla up on the top here. I said, holy crap. I said, never go against Elon Musk. Never go against Elon Musk. This thing exploded, and I don't know why. And I didn't listen to the news, and I just said, "Well, did they?" Because they had to, like, they're always doing updates on the cars and stuff. What? I don't know what the news was. I didn't look. And you got to build the confidence. That's why you have to build something that you trust in, and you know that works over and over again. That's going to help you build the confidence. Some of these other trading vehicles they'll help you to do it. But even breaking that down and getting back to the focus of tonight's video is not over trading. Waiting, being able to identify that zone that is the best probability trade of the day and waiting for it. And that gives you time, and really put that in a formula. Make a checklist that has to be met before you take that trade. I call it the business plan. Another important video I do. And let me actually bring that up for us. I'll show you. I'll just do a little review of the business plan I do for myself. All right.
Tradeometer
so I think that helps.
Oversold.
So give me a second on that. So today I'm going to actually go back, even though we're able to see kind of a live setup. We're actually watching that market here pull back down to lows and pull back into this channel and then back up. Getting pretty choppy here. Honestly, it is pretty choppy. Pretty decent moves overall.
Tune into DayTrader.
And we're trying to stay above that trend line. We push up against the highs, push back down, popping back up to the 200. We're staying under the 200 now.
Back and take a look at
we
the
have
the previous
the VWAP right above us, right on us.
The market, then you'll
what I want to do is actually go out and explain to you what we were looking for. And today's example was the best trade. We actually did take that best trade of the day. So it's actually a good example because the market was, what I want to do is start off early this morning.
During the day.
And let's analyze the market as we go through the day. And what's good about this is, is what we do every day. So, first thing I'm looking for is these pivot areas. Pivot goes from up to down. Let me fix the...
After a while, it got kind of, old.
Pisses me off too.
So I don't kill myself.
So you have a pivot
too much after
this. In this case, it's not really going up. It's just making a pivot area. You're gonna understand later on where the pivots are a little bit better. So these pivots play out. So what you want to do is once you start establishing two or more pivots,
and then
usually you're going to have two on one side,
needed for your business,
and then one on the other side, and you're going to throw in that what we call a parallel trend line. Now there is a big candle up here. We could actually adjust this a bit. You want to really fit those candles the way they're supposed to fit.
Then it makes me
so you just want to test some of the lines, make sure they all line up. When it comes to using the extension of the candle or the closing area of the candle, it really depends on what the other two trend lines are lining up. If it falls within that, kind of a percentage of error, a small percent there. It doesn't have to be at the top, doesn't have to be at the close, but just around that area. But these two line up pretty good. And then we're starting to see things. And what happens is when you drop that parallel trend line, it almost touches it exact. In this case, it didn't.
Along with a divergence signal.
Not exact, but we had that divergence here. So this was something I start to identify. All right. So once you have that 1, 2, 3 channel, you have a pivot up here, pivot here, pivot here. You could start drawing this trend line in here, and then starting to trade off of the other lines. Now this could be a short setup, easy. You got a rotation here. You kind of have this flat line in here, so it's not really lifting aggressively. By the time you get up here, it's just kind of, getting extended here. This one kind of extended. You have the VWAP, which is very tough to get through. You have the downward trend line. You have the overbought stochastic, so it makes a lot of sense to look for. And again, the downward trend line is really the big one, and the VWAP. It's kind of what we call the X marks the spot zone, where there's multiple indicators lining up, and we drop off. Now we come down. You're looking at a lower trend line. So once you get down to this trend line, you're not looking for an exact. It doesn't have to be an exact bounce, but like on all HPS setups. We look for a zone. That's why on the HPSs we look for that zone. So let us know what's coming into play. Keep an eye on it. Watch it. So we have a zone. And knowing
my golden rule,
you know, how a divergence sets up, here's a classic divergence.
The biggest thing
a
that
low
holds you back
and
is fear.
A lower low, a low
or
and a
failure.
higher low. All right, so a nice classic divergence on a lower trend line.
I think this
pretty
helps
decent
a lot,
reversal
you know,
candle afterwards. You
HBS
could probably get in
methodology.
there. That would be your trade. And
Even
out of a
more so,
divergence, you look
even
for the
more
bigger
is
move.
the divergence
So that was a great. That probably one of the best. That was actually a 7:30
system
move.
around it that really
So that was a 7:30 move.
benefit by
7:30.
developing your patience, your discipline, and becoming a true business at this. So that was some of the that's what my business looks like. Everything is defined on.
And
this
then the market
section.
here pushed up, and again we're taking it from.
about
So that would have
order
been
entry.
one of the
We
good
have that.
setups of the day. You know, you
Have
could
all
have
that,
more than one. You know, this
down.
is something that I would
I
qualify
have the profit
as a title of the video is
risk
representing
management.
one of those
Talk about the
one
different-
trade opportunities a day. You had everything lined up here. Now I don't
is
know
a
what
great little
happened over
spreadsheet.
on the bot. Let me go back and
And I
Take
think
a
I
look
have
at
this
the
in
bot
form
here.
now, if I don't have to get it in there.
because if the bot gave a trade
talks about
zone
your
there,
risk
that just
versus how
adds
much
to
of
the
the
area. So that is
account you
about
have. Starts
7:30.
An account for 2,500.
going back. Let's
10,000, 7,500.
Like the
I
big
had some
reveal
other ones
here.
on there. They go up, and we just
So
talk. It breaks it down.
all the way back.
So when we talk about raising your position, your stake, if you continue to trade well and you're making more and more money, you want to be able to, go up in size. Apply the same rules.
What's
but
there at
apply more
7:30?
money.
Huge, two
And
big
that's
divergence
when things
signals
start
right
to
there.
compound.
Two big divergence signals. Look at that. So that's what we're looking for. We had a couple over here. There was probably a short over here, or what was that? That was the end
Another
of the
thing
long.
I could say
have
with
been
your business
short here,
plan,
that
if
might have
you're
been
starting
long.
off,
But
especially if
this
you're
was the
starting
one
off,
where
you
multiple
can build
indicators
a
are lining up. You can
method.
really
Like I said,
identify the
I think
the underlying
there's
trend
nothing better
line,
than the HBS methodology, in the divergence trade. I don't think there's anything better.
top trend line, which
But
we were
everyone needs to
identifying
find their own
before
way.
here.
And if you find something
And
great,
then we could actually.
let me know. The hard
can
part is going to
duplicate
be, again, the fear factor, the confidence, and the greed. Conquer that, then you're going to be successful. Start a paper account, 2,500 to 5 or 20, whatever your paper account is.
All right, so
Double it.
that was kind of what we
And
were
then
looking
put
at in
in
the
real
other
money.
chart, but that's exactly what we wanted to see. You wanted to see everything lined up, and then we get a tradometer set up. And the tradometer set up, and it's programmed to take your profits into strength. This is a scalping thing, but you could adjust your profits knowing that this is a higher probability setup that you might want to back off on those stops. Let your stops run on this, and if you could see how that continue to
Start
run.
with 2,500, go live at 5,000.
And then we came in with a bull
take
flag
the
right
setups.
here, which is another setup.
Start with
And went from that
2,500
bull
paper
flag,
money.
you got a nice pop. And
Trade
then
it
the
up to
market came in,
5,000,
looks like a
use the
short
technique.
there, and it pulled
Stay
back.
within
But
the
these are
business
all based.
plan.
Look at that beautiful divergence
Get
right
there,
there. That was
go
a
live.
high,
Start at
and
5,000,
a lower
go to
high, a
10,000.
short,
Get there,
and a
go live.
pullback.
Whatever
So
the,
all
whatever the
these are
amount.
working really good. That was a good short. But let's get back to following the markets on this chart. And that's what I like
All
to
right,
do, to
before
have
we
that
end this, I just wanna
tradometer
go
here,
back
trading
and show you
alongside
some
of me,
divergences
having the
that, appeared
rock
this
bot
week.
trading alongside of me, and
This
being
is
able
really
to say, this is a
Very
great setup.
interesting because,
Oh, I got a
again, I've been marking them
confirmation.
off all week, and this was even Friday.
And
I was on
boom.
the other side
And I
of
bet
the
you that
mic
was a
today
confirmation
and marked
on
them
the
off. I
rock
actually
bot
got
too.
one trade
I'm
off,
not
too,
even
which
guaranteed
made
it
my
was.
fourth trade of the week.
Nice move up.
And again, it doesn't sound like a lot.
9:30
Remember,
market
we're only
opens
looking
up.
for
This is
certain
pre-market,
setups.
by the
On
way.
average,
You
if
could
we
be
get
done.
3 to 4
You could be on the
setups a day
lake.
is good.
You
If
could
I
be back in
grab,
bed.
one of those
This is a beautiful
each day,
trade.
that's
Zone.
good. I'm going to try to get more of those, especially if we're seeing them. We go back just
Fast
today,
spike
where
down,
there's a,
9:30.
double top divergence.
Here's a
here,
low.
big breakdown.
There's a higher low.
It was a nice,
higher low.
perfect
Higher
divergence
low.
here at 11:30. Look at the move up. No
Reversal,
divergence
big
really
reversal
here. Kind
off of
pulled
that.
Back here, triple bottom divergence.
Not
here,
a
moved
not a
up.
defined one. I'm sure the bot might have
higher
actually
divergence
grabbed that.
there. And look at the
I'm
big
not
move
sure,
down.
but
all
we
those
watch.
moved.
9:30
So that was
open
1,
has
2,
a
3,
very,
4,
volatile time frame.
5. I think 4 or 5 setups just today. There were potential setups, and that's what we should be taking each and every time. Each one of those also worked out with their stop. If you know the methodology, the stop goes just past that second stage of the divergence.
1040 was the other one.
And then we go back to previous day.
This
and
was
again,
this was the other buy signal, right?
There was a
It was
divergence right
1040.
here. I mean, it's amazing. Some
Came back to the
diver-
200 period moving average, just looking
over
around
here.
for other
Moved
setups.
up,
So we're
and there's some
analyzing this as we go
great
along. So 930 open, big
divergence
pop.
here. Look at
Market
this.
starts to
Divergence in the
grind
wedge
down,
pattern.
just a slow
Look at the
grind.
big move.
All of a sudden, you can see
We
an
cannot
underlying trend
afford
line
to miss
playing out,
these,
which you probably
you know.
could hit up on
It's
some
a good
bounces, but this is
advertisement
not a
for
very
the
big
Rambot,
bounce.
actually.
This
The
is not a
Rambot
very. This is actually a
gonna,
divergence and a
text
kind of a
you
little
every
failure
5
here.
minute,
You had
every
a
5
low
minute
and a lower
divergence
low.
it sets up, it'll test you.
You
It'll
had a
text you
low and a
an
higher
email
low here, and there was a
set it
little
up.
divergence, and it
So
popped. It actually
definitely,
went pretty
take
far. It
advantage
did
of
break
that,
out.
especially if
Actually,
you
I
start
should
to
take that
trade
back. That divergence did work
in this-
out
in
pretty
this
good
way.
because we're looking for
All right, that's it.
1 minute divergence
For
to
more
give us
information on,
a bigger
anything,
than average
you check
move
me out
than
at
the
DayTraderRadio.com.
previous
Check
moves.
out the School of
So this is a
Stock.
pretty tight channel. And
.com.
usually I say
School
if
of
we get a
Stock or
divergence
.com
inside of a
for
recognizable
the
channel or
divergence course. There's,
a pattern,
basically teach you how to,
a wedge pattern,
how to trade
then
the divergence.
90% of the
setup.
time your
It's really intense.
your move will be
And
outside
there's
of
another
that
course there
pattern
for the whole
You know,
methodology.
90% of the time. If you have a divergence and it's
Good,
recognized
beginner
inside of
courses
a
there. And,
downward channel or
I think
downward
that's it.
wedge
So everyone
pattern,
have a great one. I
the
hope you
breakout
enjoyed
that
the,
comes is going to take us through that. Now,
the little
technically, this actually worked. The
video
candle
on
actually
business
popped
plans
us all
today.
the way up here. I don't know what type of trade it was, why it happened. You know, was it algorithms gone wild? Was it something we're on top of and it also recognized that but failed to follow through? But anyway, it ended up being a good wedge pattern breakout off the VWAP. The VWAP is also very important to have on your screen as one of those indicators. Hey, Trader Day Mark out there. How you doing, buddy? Let me bring the bot trade over again, see where the bot is right now. Good to see you, buddy. This line right here is the VWAP. You know what I'm going to do? I want to try to keep these videos a little shorter. I want to stop the video here, and then we're gonna continue on with the webinar, but I want to pick up with a part 2. That way, you know, I figured that people's attention spans on the videos they get kind of short, so I'm going to make a part 2, and we'll talk about the indicators next on what we're looking for. Even though I do have those out, why not? Let's do it again for you. So just pick up on at your convenience part 2 on the video. I want to stop it right now and send that out. DayTraderRockStar signing off.